suck your soul, man. It doesn't make you feel dead inside. All right, guys, today we got my Mazda CX-50 Turbo Premium Plus 2023 model year. I've owned this since November of 2022. The car is now over 2 years old. I've put about 16,000 miles on it, and I'm loving it. I want to tell you today why I believe it is the best CUV daily driver for car enthusiasts. And mine is spec'd with polymetal gray exterior paint, terracotta tan leather interior. The Turbo Premium Plus comes with these 20-inch wheels, wrapped in Goodyear Eagle Touring in 245 section width. I think the styling of this thing is so on point. Gotta love the muscularity of it. Now, the plastic cladding is polarizing. I think plastic cladding on something like the WRX, I'm not the biggest fan. But on a car like this, which is more rugged and more masculine in certain dimensions and more off-roady looking, even though the capability is not quite there, which we'll talk about that shortly, I think it fits. I think it really matches. And having these more aggressive fender curves, I think, really adds to the look, the overall design of the vehicle. And it's made in Alabama. It's not made in Japan, which a lot of people that are talking about CX-50 versus CX-5 will highlight that and say how the CX-5 is better because it's made in Japan, but I don't think that's as big of a deal as people make it out to be. The cargo space here, one of the main reasons I bought this car is actually for the cargo space because I cycle, and I used to put on my FRS, which was my daily driver and track driver for the longest time, I had a tow hitch on that I installed too, and I would put my bike on a tow hitch bike mount. And I installed this myself on the CX-50, which wasn't too bad. It took, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes, and I'm probably much slower than the average person at doing so. This is the Kurt, I believe, and I think it was less than $200. I'll have a link in the description. And I will sometimes put a second or third bike on the back of the car, but generally for me, I'll actually just put my bike here. This part will come off this cargo cover, which is super cool because look, it hides away in its own little cutout right there by the spare tire. Love that. I got the all-season mats here to protect the seat back because I know I was going to be putting my bike, which has dirty wheels and chain and all that stuff, so that's a nice touch. Those fold flat, can fit my 58 centimeter road bike, no issue. First time I've had a motorized tailgate, so a person like me that hasn't really experienced modern cars as much, or I should say modern like daily driver kind of NPC mobiles, this feels super premium, and at the price point I do believe it punches way above its weight class. But there's a case to be made that, hey, it's 2024, or I guess when I bought this 2022, and a lot of these things that I'm impressed by are kind of standard now. I think the interior, the terracotta to me makes it more interesting, makes it pop a little bit more. The black is probably the more common option, all things, if I'm being honest. This center piece right here, the center seam ridge that some people say it feels like they have a credit card up my butt. I never feel it, even when I'm wearing like gym clothes and a t-shirt, you know. You do have heated seats in the back. You got ventilation here. And seated behind myself, I actually have enough legroom. Is it a lot? No. But my knees are not touching. I got, you know, a little bit of clearance. We have this pano sunroof, which so if you do want more light, this is nice to have, although the chassis bracing right here does break up the view. So it's like two regular sized sunroofs, front and rear, but actually only the only front part will actually open up, not the back. And when you do open it up, it doesn't open up that much. You can see there's like only that much space that it opens up. But as someone who doesn't really use it much, not a big deal. Getting into the interior, the design of this stitching was initially off-putting to me. I got used to it. It was something I was easily able to overlook. It is leather. You have this vent here that a lot of people find, let me actually turn the car away from the sun so you can see what I'm talking about. But a lot of people find that little vent to be very off-putting and such a eyesore. I don't really, it doesn't bother me at all. This little thing right here breaks up the line, but it's, you know, it's not something that you really notice that frequently. Don't have large cup holders, unfortunately. So my Takea 40 ounce does not fit here, which is why in one of my previous videos I had my bottle here and it just kept making all these noises. And so I've learned from that. Apologies, my friends, and I will not be having it rolling all around. I got my other stuff here to keep it in place, which is funny though, because my GR86 was able to fit this in the door pocket, which is pretty hilarious. My CUV doesn't. Now, there is a wireless phone charger right here. It doesn't really work, and I actually got it replaced at the dealership because they said, hey, it's probably a faulty unit, and that didn't really fix it either. Maybe it helped a little bit, but it's so finicky, it'll charge for a couple minutes, and then, actually not even a couple minutes, but it'll give me an error message. So I have this USB cable that I just plug in every time, put my phone there, and we have wireless CarPlay anyway, so not a big deal. Cup holders here, some people get bothered that the cup holder is right by the HVAC units, and they put things here that can get in the way or you know, hit this piece. So hasn't been an issue for me. I do love the new styling, the new design language of the interior for Mazda vehicles. The icons are much more modern, and they don't feel as like old person-y as something like the CX-5. You have physical HVAC controls. The cliff is very nice. It feels very premium, even just like the click here, the tactile, it just, it's such money. At the price point, again, $42K is what I paid, MSRP. I think that it punches above its weight class. Now, the reason why I believe this is the best CUV for car enthusiasts is because, well, a few reasons. First of all, it has a powerful engine, and it's a turbocharged engine tuned for daily driving, so you have a lot of low-end torque, and as you rev it out, it's going to die out. So it's a 2.5 liter inline 4 with a twin scroll turbo, making 256 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. That's with premium gas, which is what I'm always using now. I did have a phase where I was trying both, and I just feel like the extra power is beneficial, and also in the Vegas heat during the summer months, I don't want to have any issues with knock and such. So I just figure it's safer to just do premium, and I make more power that way too. You make a little bit less, I think it's like 10 pound-feet less of torque, and maybe like 20 or 30 horsepower less on regular octane. But the reason why this is the best vehicle for car enthusiasts, and the reason why after even more than 2 years I still love this thing, is the way it drives. When you drive other vehicles in the segment, Honda, Toyota, even some of the Korean cars, they kind of make you feel dead inside. At least if you're a driving enthusiast that likes dynamics and likes steering feedback and things like that. So this is actually fun to drive, but it's not something I thought I would ever say about a CUV. And in fact, I never thought I would even buy a CUV, right? I was looking at sports sedans prior to landing on this. And the way they've tuned, especially the 2023 model year, this is the first model year that came out, and it is the sportiest. Now, what I mean by that is the suspension is stiffer, and we have McPherson strut in the front. We have torsion beam in the rear. It is not independent rear suspension, which is going to compromise your ride quality. And also when you're pushing the car, since it's a torsion beam, you're not going to have independent movement of each wheel, so you can sometimes feel that. But 90 to 95% of the time, you don't even notice it. And people make it a bigger deal than it is. Again, what Mazda is doing at this price point of 42K is they're spending money in the right places. And they decided to compromise the rear suspension, but they tuned it in a way that it's not really a big downside, actually. When you drive this car with the sportiness, again, the stiffer suspension and the heavier steering in the first model year, it feels like a sporty CUV. And sure, you can go German, you can go at a much higher price point and get something that is more capable, get something that is faster, that is even more sporty. But at this price point, you get such a balance and so much car for the money. People complained about this though in the first model year. So the steering's too heavy, suspension too stiff, and then 24 model year and onwards they softened it. And I have a video comparing those right up here. And I actually prefer this because I want the thing that feels more sporty. You, if you haven't driven a sports car regularly or daily driven a sports car, you may prefer the newer ones. And if you have daily driven a sports car, then you may be like me and prefer the 23 that is stiffer. Although keep in mind, it's subjective. My mom, who is used to a 2011 Camry, so she's still driving to this day. I mean, that car has kind of heavier steering, actually. It is hydraulic, but it is heavier. She has no complaints about this car. She thinks it's very premium. She thinks it's luxurious by comparison, obviously, but no issues with her, the steering and the suspension. She thinks it's comfortable. She thinks the steering, it does not feel too heavy. When I mentioned it to her, she said, it doesn't feel too much more than my Camry. And she's like 66 years old. So make of that what you will. I connected with a viewer recently who bought a CX-50 as his daily. He has a Cayman GTS 4.0 as a sports car. And largely due to my videos as well as Zygreen's videos, and he's glad he did. He got the Meridian, the 2025 model year, and he prefers that over the 23. He thinks the 23 suspension is a little bit too stiff. Keep in mind that the Meridian does have a thicker sidewall though, so that can aid with the comfort as well. These 20-inch wheels obviously are much more road oriented. You're going to have thinner sidewall, and you're not really going to be doing much off-roading. There's also this this camera view. So if you are going to be doing this light off-roading on dirt and such, which I have done before, you're going fishing or whatever, you gotta navigate through some rocks and such. You can use that, which is clutch not only for the 360 cam when you're parking, but when you are going on those rougher terrains. This isn't really off-road capable. Again, look at the suspension geometry and the wheels just to get an idea of that. But that camera does come in handy. I was actually planning on getting rid of this car. After 2 years, I did not think I was going to still own it. And I wanted to give it to my mom. Long story short, I'm probably going to get my mom a Tesla instead. But I love this car so much, and I enjoy driving it so much that I don't want to get rid of it. I was considering a BMW X5 to replace this with, and it's a much heavier car. It is a more capable car, but this is more agile. Because it's lighter, it's smaller, and the main reason I wanted the X5 was to tow. But since my Mazda Miata is not even in Vegas, I keep it at my girlfriend's in a different city, and that's going to be my track car. The Amira is more my weekend car. I no longer really have a use case to upgrade to the BMW X5, and I'm just really happy with this, so why not keep it? I've gone over in other videos things like the screen being further away, how it's actually not a bad thing, the way that it's positioned. It's a little bit further. You can lean and touch it if you want. There's a setting where you can actually enable the touchscreen, right? So you can actually do that if you want, but you get used to this wheel here that's very similar to iDrive, and it's intuitive to you. It's not a big deal. You get used to it. And they also have the shortcuts as well, like the navigation, the music, the home, etc. So you don't have to just do the scroll wheel. Overall, I am incredibly happy with this vehicle. I haven't had any major issues. There was one thing, which was the front left control arm actually failed. I'm not sure what caused that, but they replaced it under warranty. So I'm not really driving this car very hard. I'm not really off-roading it and having a lot of impact there. So not sure what caused that, but again, they fixed it under warranty. Not a big deal. Engine-wise, no issues. I believe earlier vehicles did have some oil leak issues possibly, but at some point, I forget the exact crossover point, but my car is, after the update, no issues. So there are some downsides, right? The car's not perfect. The fuel efficiency is pretty garbage. Generally, I'm getting 22, 23. And the hotter months, like just driving on this highway out of Vegas in the summer when it's like 100, 115, blasting the AC and just driving in hotter weather, I'm getting like 16, 17 miles per gallon. And I'm not even driving like a hooligan. It's just the heat, and the car is not that efficient to begin with. But no car is going to be perfect. And what are your priorities? To me, and I think to many car enthusiasts, it's a matter of finding a daily driver that doesn't suck your soul, man. It doesn't make you feel dead inside. And what Mazda has been doing in recent years is amazing. I mean, oh, the steering right there, dude. Like, the load up, the feedback, it's such money. It is better than many, many sports cars of modern day. That is not an exaggeration. It is electric power assist, and they just dialed it in such a good way that is... I feel like if you drive a proper sports car that has good steering, it feels a bit more natural. Here, like, maybe because it's a CUV, it's larger, you don't have as much immediacy and directness with the front end. It's still a very good steering rack, and I love it, but there's something that is slightly unnatural about it, and I don't know how to describe that. And again, enough torque for your daily driving duties. No issues with that. The other thing is the tech. So right now I do have adaptive cruise with my HUD there. You can see 79. The nice thing is with some of the higher trims, I think the Premium Plus maybe, you get this road sign readout. So the 70 right there will show you a stop sign and such, which is nice when you're not sure what the speed limit is. Maybe you missed the sign yourself. You can see there to see how fast you can be going. And the tech though isn't great. So this model here had lane keep, but no lane centering. I believe the 24 did have lane centering, but even then it's not great. If you compare Mazda's driving tech versus other companies, they're definitely lagging behind. But again, depends on your priorities. If that's important to you, if that's a top priority, then yeah, you probably don't want the CX-50. Again, the CX-50 I think is ideal for people like me who care, like, number one priority is not feeling dead inside when you're driving your daily. And number two priority might be, hey, I just want to be comfortable and feel like, you know, it's a nice place to be. They have this laminated glass. The road noise NVH is so much better dialed in compared to 10 years ago. My brother had an older Mazda 3. That thing was almost as loud as my FRS on the highway. It was unacceptable. Modern Mazdas are really on target with that premium branding, where it's not quite luxury, but it's not also the regular stuff, the regular economy stuff. It feels more comfortable while also giving you that sportiness and having the practicality and the comfort. And, you know, anyone who's ridden in the car doesn't really have any complaints. The only thing that does come up occasionally from what I've seen online is that the seats, they are firm. And for some people, that's a big problem. I haven't had any issues. I have done road trips to and from California, and, you know, maybe on a longer road trip, my butt gets a little bit sore, but day to day, don't notice any issues. I also do wish that the thigh support was a bit longer. I'm 6'1", and, you know, I don't have as much support as I would like, but that's an issue I have in most cars, especially in this segment. I have several other videos covering my experience with the CX-50, issues like, you know, the problems with the radar guided cruise control, or more details on the suspension failure that I had, and you can find those on our CX-50 playlist. But overall, very happy with this vehicle. No vehicle is perfect, and if you are in the market looking for a CX-50, this punches way above its weight class. I think for the driving enthusiast, there's no other choice. This is the best vehicle in the segment, even over the CX-5. This definitely drives more sporty than the CX-5. I actually talk all about how the CX-50 compares to an equivalent CX-5 up in this video over here. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you think with a comment down below.